Hi guys, it's Sweetie Pie. Welcome back to my channel. Oh my god, that was raspy. I went to my Christmas party last night and yeah, we got some raspiness going on. I'm so sorry about ya. Sorry. But yeah, today guys, we are doing something that I've actually been working on for a couple days now, kind of corroborating my thoughts, getting them all together, and that is we are going to compare the NYX Element of Metals palette to the Urban Decay Heavy Metals palette. Now, before I started kind of researching this about a week ago because I got these two palettes and I will put up in the cards my reviews for both of these palettes. You know, I kind of like this one better. That is just my thoughts. But I'm gonna give you like the full blown because maybe some people don't have Sephora or Ulta and all they can get their hands on is this one, or maybe you can get your hands on both but you don't know which one to buy. At this very moment, the Heavy Metals palette is actually on at Ulta for $36 US, and then it was at Sephora, I think, for the same price. No, actually, I think they were literally selling it for $36 Canadian. Maybe it was $36 Canadian on Ulta. Sometimes they switch. Sometimes they switch it because they know I'm Canadian, and sometimes they don't. All right, it does say, okay, it says 55. So yeah, both Ulta and Sephora have it for $36, and it was regular. I paid $72 for it, but it was regular $72 on for $36. This little baby here is still $45 Canadian, which I think is like something between like $39 US. But yeah, guys, so I've got all the information on both these palettes, you know, like just some information that I gathered between the two, what's similar, what's different, and then I'm going to give you some swatches to show you, you know, what colors, because honestly, there are some colors that are similar in these two palettes. If you hold them up together, this is becoming a longer intro, but if you hold them up together, now the Urban Decay does have substantial packaging. They went all out with this, and I don't have a problem with it. I don't travel with my palettes, and even if I did, like, this would actually probably hold up better in your suitcase than this one, like almost hands down, because it has a very like protective packaging. So if you laid it in your suitcase, I think this one would probably get through before this one. But anyway, as I was showing you, this one has a very interesting mirror idea. You're never going to use the mirror anyway. How many times do people actually use their mirrors in their eyeshadow palettes? So when you, and I can never get the NYX one open. There we go. So the NYX one as well has a pretty nice sized mirror, but it's in the like what we would call, I guess, classic packaging. And then here are the, this is going to be difficult. Okay, there are the colors for both the palettes. Now, obviously, the Urban Decay eyeshadows have, I think, 9 more shadows, but at this very moment, they're both around the same price. So, like, I feel kind of weird because I'm like, oh my god, Urban Decay wins. But I'm going to show you the swatches, and then you guys can make your decisions on your own, which one you would rather have, and then at the end, I'm going to tell you what I want, but god, I feel like you can almost tell. So yeah, guys, let's get into this video, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Oh my gosh, subscribe to my channel if you guys enjoy me, and yeah, like this video if you enjoy that as well. I am getting demonetized by the second on YouTube, but that's okay. I'm not, whatever, life goes on. Alright guys, so let's get into this video, and yeah, I'm really excited about these swatches. Alright guys, so the first thing we're going to start off with, and I am going to put timestamps in this video, I'm going to talk about the NYX Metals palette first, then I'm going to talk a little bit about the Urban Decay palette, the Heavy Metals palette, and then we will get into the swatches and just the finale. Remember, timestamps if you don't want to watch the whole thing. I also have full review swatches and everything on my channel, which they should be kind of popping up. I'll probably put them at the end of this video as well, so you guys can go check those out. Those I do just a much more in-depth review on each palette. Alright, so the NYX Heavy Metals palette, you can get this at, and of course, notes. You can get this at Shoppers Drug Mart, and this is in Canada. I live in Canada, so I'm sure you can get it at Ulta and some of your drugstores, but I usually research for my own region, which is Canada. All right, so you can get this at Shoppers Drug Mart, NYX stores, and some Walmarts. The price is $45 Canadian. It contains 12 eyeshadows. They are 1.41 grams each. The first two ingredients is talc and dimethicone. These are a very dimethicone-y shadows. They're not quite as bad as the Juvia's Place shadows. Although they are absolutely beautiful, I do find them to be a little bit thick on my eyes sometimes. They're not quite as thick as that formula, but they are very like thick, and you know, they're not chunky, but they are thick. So yes, it does contain carmine, and it is made in China. The packaging comes like this. It does come in a cute little box as well, and the shadows are not named. They are numbered 1 to 12. Yeah, and I think that is everything. They do have the ingredients on the back and all that kind of jazz. The only one that has a different ingredients list is number 1, which apparently is a pressed pigment, which is this purple one right here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. All right, now I'm going to flip over and we're going to go into the Urban Decay Heavy Metals palette. So the Urban Decay Heavy Metals palette can be purchased at urbandecay.com, Ulta, and Sephora for a lower price now. They're on for $36. As I said, regular $72. The packaging of this comes like this. It is a plastic container like this, and it swatches in and out. The way to remember this, if you choose to get this palette and you're having a hard time putting it back together, is that the two Urban Decays always meet. So Urban Decay up here, Urban Decay on the side, they always meet, and then the palette will slide in and out perfectly. If you try to put it in the other way, one, it will not go in. Oh, yeah, it will get stuck pretty much. But then if you try to force it in this way, it gets stuck and the Urban Decay shows. So I've just remembered, always go Urban Decay to Urban Decay, and it will close just nicely. There's 20 shadows in this palette, and they are 0.8 a piece, which is substantially lower than the NYX palette, but the NYX palette only has 12 and this has 20. So almost like, what, 8 more? Yeah, like 8 more shadows. This does contain carmine. The first two ingredients is rice extract. So what an odd thing. Like, I remember reading that and going, what? Rice extract, which I'm assuming is some type of oil, and talc. It does contain carmine. I'm not sure if I said that. The bulk was made in the USA, so the eyeshadows themselves were made in the USA. It was assembled in the Dominican Republic and distributed by Urban Decay California. Oh my god, this palette has been back and forth. All right, so yeah, let's get into these swatches, and I'm just going to, what I'm going to do is I was going to bring you up on my window, but then I was thinking, you know what, my camera's good enough where you guys are going to be able to see while I'm still in the shot, so I figure I'm going to do it like that so that I can talk to you guys, and you guys can still actually see my face. I wouldn't normally do this, and if you guys have any qualms about it, make sure you write them down in the comments down below so that I know for next time that you guys want me to have like full on put you guys in my window so that you guys get like a really good look at the swatches. All right guys, so let's get into those. I dyed my hair again. I used Firefly by oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to put it down below because I'm having a total brain fart. It comes in a tub Manic Pan. Hallelujah, hallelujah. I used Manic Panic's Firefly this time, and honestly, I think I want to go blue or purple. I love the red still. It's so stark, and I got so many compliments at the Christmas party because it was so stark, but I'm kind of just sick of it. I don't know. Talk me out of it. All right, guys, so for swatches, the way I'm going to do this is because the NYX palette has less shadows, we're going to go by the NYX palette, and we're just going to go shadow by shadow, and I'm just going to talk about which ones are similar, what I think of the formula, which ones are my favorite, you know, yada, yada, yada. I've done so many looks with both of these palettes. And I do love them both. Both of them are really pretty in their own ways. There's duds in both palettes, not like duds. All the shadows are very beautiful and buttery in the Urban Decay palette. There's one shadow in there that I'm not like super crazy about. There's a few shadows in here that I'm not super crazy about. But in all, like all of these shadows are completely workable. It's just, what do you want to spend your money on? I was mostly pissed off at NYX for charging $45 for a 12 pan eyeshadow palette when the eyeshadows were like really dimethicone and like kind of a little bit thick and like, I don't know, can you see that? Like when an eyeshadow is kind of thick like that. Now some of these are a little bit like that too, but like a really special mention is this one called Punk Rock. Do you see how smooth that is? Like it's just so smooth. I just, But yeah, anyway, so we're gonna go color by color, and the first color that we're going to talk about is the one pressed pigment in the NYX palette, which is color number 1. Just that one right there. And I'm just going to finger swatch these because I'm just trying to show you, you know, what the consistency of the shadows are and what shadows kind of meet up with what shadow. All right, so the first two comparisons are the first shadow in the NYX palette and Metalhead. There is no very light purple shadow in the Urban Decay palette, so this is as close as you get for two shadows that are similar, or a shadow that is similar to the first color in the NYX palette. So the second color is a very pretty bronzy color, and if you get it a little bit wet, and I pretty much think that about all of the shadows in the NYX palette, is if you get them a tiny bit wet, see, they go on really pretty. But when you're like just putting your finger in there, it can be a little bit powdery and kind of not crusty, but you know what I mean. Maybe I just have a bad stigma about this palette. All right, and then the one that is most close is Scream. And even Scream in the Urban Decay is a little bit powdery, but I do like the way this one goes on the eyes. So there is, this one is Scream and this one is the number 2 in the NYX palette. They're pretty darn similar. Like the one in the Urban Decay palette has just a tiny bit more rose in it, but they're pretty darn similar. So next we're going on to, oh, and you know what? I just totally gapped out. So with the first one in the NYX palette, also, another color that's kind of close is Acoustic. And I'll just swatch them all together again. So Acoustic's a little bit more on the taupey side, but we don't really have a taupe in the NYX palette to compare to. So we've got number 2 in the NYX palette, we've got Acoustic, and then we've got Scream. Obviously Scream's pretty close, but then you also get the 2 colors, right? In the Urban Decay palette, you will get 2 colors that are similar to the 1 color in the NYX palette. All right, so now we're gonna go on to silvers. There is a pretty, like, it's a very pretty silver, but again, pretty powdery. And went onto my hand very smooth, and it does go onto the eye, does put a lot of shine out, but I'm sorry, I gotta say it here. Glam Rock in the Urban Decay palette is just like, it's silver amped. So this one is the NYX palette, this one is the Urban Decay, this is the one in Glam Rock, and then you have Aluminum, which is another silver that you get in the Urban Decay palette. And although the Aluminum and the number 3 shade are similar, they are similar, I think the one that is in the Urban Decay palette is just leaps and bounds better than that one. I'm sorry, I'm so judgmental. Oh my god. All right, so the fourth color in the NYX palette is one of my favorites in the pan. Sometimes I've done a couple looks where I was not really happy with it, but I think that that can be said about every single eyeshadow I've ever had. It is a little bit, you know, like on the same kind of powdery side, but it does smooth onto the eye. I just feel like it should have been, like, let's look at it in the pan, and then let's look at it, I don't know. I think it was just a little bit darker. And the color that goes really well with this is Punk Rock or After Party. Now, neither of these are like full on the same or like as dark as that fourth color. And After Party is a little bit redder, obviously, in like starkness. But yes, so you have the fourth color in the NYX palette, and then you have Punk Rock, and then you have After Party. And those are just like the more pinky tones. Ooh, I think that Rhody might also be pretty close to it. And I literally, like, I'm just gonna swatch the, no, Rhody is a little bit on the browner side. Rhody is this color right here. And it's a little bit too brown. But yeah, let's go on to the fifth color. I hope that this isn't too bad. I'm gonna try and make sure that I am cutting out some parts that don't need to be in there. Let's put it that way. All right, so we're going on to the fifth shade now. Number 5 is like, oh my God, gorgeousness in this palette. And it is this, like, it is like a pinky green. It's such a hard color to, it is like the one duochrome that they have in the palette, and I have it all over my inner corner today. I went ham on this shade, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to get the duochromeness to really show up, but the only color that is really close to that is in the Urban Decay palette is the one color that I'm not crazy about. It's just not super pigmented. It is a duochrome, but it is a pink flashes gold. It's this one right here, and it is called Angel Fire. Those are the swatches, and as you can see, so this is the NYX one, which is the pink flashes green, and then this one is pink flashes gold. And when you swatch this one, it's kind of hard. It's a little bit chunky, and I'm not always happy with all the stuff that Urban Decay brings out either, like, geez. But yeah, so that is the fifth color in that palette. All right, so the sixth one, gosh, my hand is gonna be raw. So yeah, the sixth color is a dark silver, and it's right here. And it is like the black in the NYX palette. And we have a black in the Urban Decay palette, and it is ground. And oh wow, those are similar. Honestly, I think I like the Urban Decay one better just because it looks like it has a flash of light green, but those are so similar. It just went on a little bit smoother, but very similar colors. Those are the two colors that I have not really used that much in these two palettes. I don't really do a whole ton of like sparkly black, but I should have used it for my Christmas party. I did a gorgeous black so smoky eye with pink glitter because my dress was pink. But yeah, onward and upward. So the seventh color is really smooth in the NYX palette. Like, this is one of the prettiest consistencies of shadows that I have seen in the NYX palette so far. And I think we have two colors. Yes, Glory and Twist. So Twist is on the colorful side and Glory is on the neutral side. And neither of them are right on target, but I think that Glory is more similar. Yes, Glory definitely is. Twist is a little bit more of a yellow gold. Still, all of them are very pretty. I think I like Twist the best out of all of them, but getting Twist and Glory in the palette, that is pretty much a lower cost right now. it would be pretty awesome. Would be pretty awesome. All right, so the next one is 8. Oh, okay. This color is awesome in this palette. This is the only blue that they put in here, and it is very shifty. It's not quite powdery either. It's quite smooth on my... And yes, it is a duochrome. It is more like, it is like blue and green turquoise mixed together. It is a very pretty color. And we have 2 blues in the Urban Decay palette, which is, yeah. So they are, what are they? Dive and Amp. So Dive is a darker blue and Amp is that like really beautiful turquoise. I'm going to I'm going to put the turquoise next to it. Ooh, and I did want to point out that Dive is a little bit powdery and a little bit hard to pack on. If you're going to take a glitter glue and just go, you're going to get full pigment. But if you're going to try to get it all over the lid, it might be hard to do. But yes, so that one is the number 8 color in the NYX palette. Then we have Amp, and then we have Dive. So yeah, those are that. And we're getting down. We have 4 more colors left, and there was only 1 color that I didn't use, and obviously it was from the Urban Decay palette, and it didn't really match anything that was in the NYX palette. Try to guess which one it is. Write it down in the comments down below. All right, so the next color we're going on is this light pink right here. And we're gonna see a little bit of, what am I trying to say? We're going to see a little bit of Dive Over because obviously they have 2 kind of similar pinks in this palette. They have a little bit darker one and a little bit lighter one. It's kind of not a rose gold, but anyway. So the 2 that are similar to that are Punk Rock and Roadie. And Roadie is again like a more brown toned, and Punk Rock is more pink toned. So we have on this one is the NYX one, we have Roadie, and then we have Punk Rock. Punk Rock is so beautiful. I freaking love it. I really do. And then what else do we have going? I'm still like, I'm wiping off my hand. Oh, okay. And again, these swatches, they're gonna be like, they are a little tiny bit damp. My hand's a bit damp, so if they look a little smoother than your palette does, that's because they're wet. I just want to let you know, this is just a comparison in color, and I'm telling you how they are. All right, so the next one is 10, and it is this one, which is probably like, you know, as boring as this one is to me. I don't know, I'm just like neutrals, neutrals. And it is a very pretty one. Again, it's got like some texture, but with a little bit of water, and I literally use water. I don't use Fix Plus normally or anything like that. Maybe a really cheap like e.l.f. setting spray, but regardless. Anyways, so Demo and Base, and Demo is one we have not seen yet, and Base is also one we haven't seen yet, and neither are right on the money. Demo is too red, and Base is too bronzy. But as you can see, this one is the NYX one, and then we have Demo, and then we have Base. All right, so for the 11th color, second to last, we have a very dark purpley shade. And I think I only used this maybe once. Again, dark colors like this sometimes, you know, I don't wear a whole ton of like black smoky eyes. Mind you, this is pretty dark today. But anyway, oh, and by the way, I used Punk Rock on my lid, and I really kind of tried to smoke it out, and I used the Naked Heat palette. Oh, every time I use it. Every time. All right, and Spandex is the only color that I have close to this, and Spandex is way, way more beautiful. It is full of like different dimensions of glitter. Oh, look at that. So that is the one in the NYX palette, and then that is Spandex from Urban Decay. Again, I love spandex, and I think it's way better than the 11th color in the NYX palette. I'm starting to realize now that I looked at this is that, you know what, if you want a little bit more like subtle shimmers and subtle metallics, actually these are full-on metallics, they are not shimmers, but if you want like a little bit more subtleness than the Urban Decay one, this might be for you because a lot of the colors are a little bit more muted. All right, so we've got the last one in this palette, and it is the green one, and there's only one green in the in the metals palette. And because I'm into bright colors, I prefer the mullet shade to this one, but it's still very pretty. It is a very pretty green. If you wanted to do like a hunter green style eye, the metal palette or the NYX metal palette would be pretty as well. But yeah, guys, so those are all the swatches. The only color I did not use, oh, I feel like I did not use Starfire either. Oh, I forgot. Starfire was supposed to be with the 10th shade. I'll swatch this one right now because it shade. See, a little bit of, and then we've got Maiden, and I feel like Maiden and Angel Fire are kind of one in the same. They're a little bit chunky, but yeah, these two are the only two that didn't make it in, and honestly, comparing 3 different eyeshadows is just kind of silly. But anyway, these are the two. So we've got Starfire, and then we have, what is this? Starfire and Maiden. And they're very pretty. Like this one makes for a gorgeous, like fiery eye. Ooh, I want to do that tomorrow with my Naked Heat palette. Oh, so many ideas for eye looks. I love eyes. I could do eyeshadow all day, every day. All right, guys, so let's get into final thoughts. After all of that swatching and comparing and just mutilating my palettes, let's get into the conclusion of what I think is worth what. All right, guys, so after all that detective work and swatches and showing you guys which ones are similar and, you know, all that jazz, which one do I think is worth, you know, getting between these two? Of course, I love Urban Decay. I think that this was a hands down amazing palette. The shimmers in here are just beautiful. Some of them are so dimensional. They make me so happy. And like NYX again is just, it's too kind of like, I don't want to say bland because that sounds sad, but it's just way less interesting than this palette. And on top of that, I feel like a lot of the colors that are in here are up in this top row. If you want neutrals, you use this. If you don't, you use this. Like, it's so simple. But I found like even the really bright colors in here weren't that bright. And I also wanted to mention this had an overspray on it. They all looked way lighter and like different when they were pressed, and then when I actually swatched them, like you can still see it in the green, that rim. Now I realize that a lot of the time once your shadow gets, you know, touched and played with, it does change the consistency a little bit of the shadow. It doesn't look as flat as it used to, but I just found that kind of like, It was really prominent in the pink shade in here, but I pretty much, yeah, there isn't much to see. Like you can see it a little bit on the edge. But yeah, I really think that it obviously, hands down, this is going to be better for your buck right now because it's cheaper. The 20 shade Urban Decay palette is cheaper than the NYX Element Elements of Metal palette. So, but let's say they were both, like this one was $72 still and this one was $50. I'd still go for this one because for less than $20 more, you can get 9 more eyeshadows. They're beautiful, they're blend, like they're awesome. They're awesome eyeshadows. I love this palette. I said the same thing in my review that I was really happy with this palette. A lot of people didn't like the packaging. I get that, but I do my makeup at home every day. So I just set it on it like this and away we go, right? I have a nice big desk to do my makeup at. I feel for you if you're doing your makeup at a sink, but in all honesty, if you don't want to get one of those, like you can totally get one of those things that sit on the sink, go grab like a box or something, like flatten out a box and put it on there, and then you can put all your makeup on there. All right, guys, I love you guys so, so much, and thank you guys for watching. I hope this was somewhat interesting. I hope that I could cut out some of the boring parts of me trying to swatch them on my arms and whatnot. I've never really done it where I didn't do it up in my window, so I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys could see my swatches. I love you guys so much. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video if you enjoyed it. Do not forget to go check out my Instagram. I post on there all the time, new looks, all that kind of stuff. I have to get more up to date. There are so many pictures and whatnot that I would like to post for you guys. Pictures about reviews that I've done on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. So if you guys would like to see what I'm up to, then definitely go check that out. The link will be in the description. All right, guys, I love you. I know I've said that 3 times now, but I do. I love you guys. Have a great night, day, whatever.